After I died, I watched helplessly as my wife and daughter were driven out of our home by my biased parents. My daughter, resilient and hard-working, was deceived by a scumbag and died tragically on the streets. My wife, worn down by hardship and unable to bear the loss of our daughter, leaped from a tall building. When I opened my eyes again, I was back when my wife was pregnant. 1. Song, what are you standing there stunned for? Come and eat. A slender figure emerged from the kitchen, carrying a plate of bitter melons scrambled with eggs. I blinked, extending a hand in disbelief to touch her smooth, oval face. Wifey? Her cheeks flushed, and she glanced sidelong at me, feigning annoyance. Pouting won't work. You've been overheated these past few days. You have to eat all this bitter melon. I looked down at her slightly protruding belly, a mix of emotions churning within me. All right, I'll listen to my wifey. Willow, my wifey, ultimately had a soft spot for me. Knowing I disliked bitter melon, she made an exception and brought out a small cup of rice wine. Your stomach isn't good. Drink just a little. I smiled and shook my head. No more drinking. Never again. In my previous life, it was because of a perforated stomach ulcer and delayed medical attention that I died in middle age, leaving my wife and daughter to struggle alone. Ultimately, my wife succumbed to illness from overwork, and my daughter was deceived by the cad and died tragically on the streets. This life, I've decided not to touch a drop of alcohol too. After dinner, Willow sat beside me, hesitating before she spoke. Mom called today. She said Dad isn't well, has no health insurance, and needs $500, zero for surgery. My brow furrowed. The mom and dad Willow referred to were my own parents, Arthur Clark Sr. and Martha Clark. I came from a rural background, with an older brother, Eldon, and a younger one, Ethan. At 15, I tested into the city's best high school, but my parents, claiming poverty, wouldn't let me continue my studies. I had to find work in the city. Thankfully, my father-in-law, Daniel Dawson, took me in. I learned cooking from him, acquiring a skill to make a living. The thought of my parents driving my wife and daughter out almost before my body was cold filled me with icy resolve. No, I said flatly. Willow looked at me, surprised. I was known as a filial son. It was unthinkable for me not to pay if my father was ill. I smiled and explained. I called the doctor. Dad isn't sick. It was a misdiagnosis. In my previous life, my mother, Martha, spread rumors in our hometown that I was an unfilial son. Then, she colluded with a doctor to deceive me, claiming my father needed $500, zero for an illness. As it turned out, that $500, zero was split 3 ways. Between my parents, my eldest brother Eldon, and my youngest brother Ethan. While my wife and daughter were homeless, they were feasting on my hard-earned money. The reason for my parents' blatant favoritism was that I only had a daughter. Therefore, they believed my entire estate should be theirs. Absurd. Wouldn't that money be better spent by my daughter? Perhaps even to support some handsome young man if she pleased. 3. Willow was pleased with my decision, though her moral compass made her feel a twinge of guilt. I said, over the years, we've given my parents nearly $300, zero. You've never complained, and I'm incredibly grateful to you for that. Willow leaned her head on my shoulder, moved. For a moment, all was peaceful and right with the world. Willow's ancestors were imperial chefs. Her father, Daniel Dawson, had only learned a fraction of their skills, but it was enough. A small, bustling, greasy spoon allowed him to support his family, and later, it allowed me to support mine. Daniel Dawson's lifelong dream was to make Du family cuisine renowned. Unfortunately, in my previous life, my talent was limited. No matter how hard I tried, it was futile. Reborn, and with the help of the culinary god system, I believed I could fulfill my father-in-law's dying wish and protect my wife and daughter, ensuring they wouldn't suffer the same tragic fate as before. 4. After accompanying Willow to her prenatal checkup, I returned to the greasy spoon and began my day's work. The little restaurant operated on a model of small profits and quick turnover, offering delicious food at low prices. In my previous life, I had gritted my teeth and handed over the 500 I had painstakingly saved to my parents. Then, to earn money for medical expenses, I worked from dawn till dusk, exhausting myself. This life, I held on to that 500 intending to buy the shop outright. The shop owner, old man Chapman, said, "Sincere, I'm planning to go abroad to be with my grandson. I need to sell this place." I said, "Mr. Chapman, I heard the city is planning to build a CBD in this area. Maybe you should hold on to it?" Old man Chapman waved his hand dismissively. "I'm not planning on coming back once I leave. Are you interested in buying? You've been renting for nearly 30 years. Haven't you considered buying it?" I gritted my teeth. "How much?" Old man Chapman held up 5 fingers. $500K. Deal, will handle the paperwork tomorrow. What I said was true. This area was slated to become a CBD, complete with a subway line, transforming it into a bustling part of the city. Unfortunately, old man Chapman was set on going abroad, and I certainly wasn't going to miss this golden opportunity. 5. When Willow learned I had spent all our savings to buy the shop, she grew anxious. "I'm only 4 months pregnant. I'll start looking for a job tomorrow." I disagreed. "The doctor said you show signs of a potential miscarriage and advised you not to overexert yourself. Don't worry, I can support you and the baby." Willow lost her mother at a young age, and her father, Daniel Dawson, passed away a few years ago. My own parents, Arthur and Martha, were unreliable, so I needed to earn money quickly to afford a good postnatal care center and a maternity nurse for Willow. Every night, after Willow fell asleep, I would enter the culinary godspace to study slicing, dicing, carving, seasoning, plating, recipes, insights from famous chefs throughout history. I was like a sponge, frantically absorbing all the knowledge in the culinary godspace. Time in the culinary godspace moved at 1/20th the speed of the outside world, so my progress was astonishingly fast. My relentless efforts, day and night, also brought substantial financial rewards. "Chef Clark, a sweet and sour pork, please. Your seasoning is truly authentic, just like my grandfather used to make." "Chef Clark, 3 orders of egg-fried rice. I'm getting them for my colleagues." I bustled in the kitchen, overjoyed, not even noticing the unwelcome guests who had entered the restaurant. 6. After all the customers had left, my mother, Martha Clark, threw herself on the floor, wailing dramatically. "You good-for-nothing, your business is booming, yet you won't even spare money to treat your father's illness." My eldest brother, Eldon, chimed in. "Sincere, is it your wife who's unwilling to give the money? You're so filial, you wouldn't just watch Dad die." My youngest brother, Ethan, added, "Big C Sincere, just a little bit from between your fingers would be enough for Mom and Dad. You don't want to be shamed by the folks back home, do you?" My father, Arthur Clark Sr., was bent over, groaning about his pain. I closed the shop door and hung up a "closed for break" sign. I said, "Eldon, this money is the joint property of Willow and me. She has the right to decide how it's spent." Before Eldon could retort, I turned to Ethan. "Ethan, I earn every penny through hard work and my culinary skills. I will not skimp on the filial piety I owe Mom and Dad. From now on, whatever you give them, I'll give the same." Ethan had dropped out of middle school and had been mooching off our parents ever since. It would be a miracle if he didn't take money from them, let alone give any. Ignoring Ethan's sullen face, I addressed my parents. "If you're sick, you need to go to a major hospital. I'll take you to City First Hospital tomorrow." My words were met with dead silence. They all knew I was serious. 7. I didn't want to waste my limited life on endless bickering, so I issued an ultimatum. I would give my parents 3-0 a month, but I wouldn't be responsible for anything else. If they caused trouble, they wouldn't get a cent. This 3-0 was enough for my parents to live comfortably, but not enough to subsidize Eldon and Ethan. When Willow heard about this, she took out the gold necklace her mother had left her. "We're short on money this month. Let's sell the necklace." I smoothed her furrowed brow, blaming myself. I knew the future and possessed a golden opportunity, but Willow didn't. She only knew that our savings were gone, and we still had to give her in-laws 3-0 every month. I gently touched Willow's growing belly. "Wifey, your husband has made it. I can earn big money now." Willow took the thick wad of $100 bills from my hand, tears streaming down her face. I hurriedly wiped her tears. "Wifey, what's wrong? I earned a whole 10-0 this month. Aren't you happy?" Willow hugged me tightly, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. "We only make $2 or $3 profit per dish. For this 10-0, how exhausted must you be?" Was I tired? Of course I was. If it weren't for the culinary god system, my hands would have been ruined long ago. But I wanted to give my wife and daughter a prosperous life even more. I didn't want them to have to scavenge for wilted vegetables at the market just to save money. Willow massaged my wrists tenderly. "Money can't all be earned. We can live simply if we're poor. You can't neglect your health for this bit of money." A shiver ran down my spine. If I died, what good would even the greatest golden opportunity be? What if my daughter still encountered the cad? Who would protect her? But, apart from cooking, I knew nothing else. 9. After careful consideration, I decided to pursue the high-end private dining route. Since I wasn't skilled at business management, I would perfect my culinary skills to the extreme. But even the best wine fears a deep alley. The internet industry was just emerging, and I decided to ride this wave. I shared my idea with Willow, who was incredibly supportive and volunteered. I was in the photography club in college. We can save money on a photographer. When husband and wife are of one mind, they can break gold. I opened the restaurant and cooked every day, while Willow filmed everything with her camera. After closing, I did the housework, and Willow edited videos and managed our social media account. Soon, our social media account, Dou's Cuisine, gained some fame online for its down-to-earth style and easy-to-learn recipes. However, tall trees attract the wind. No sooner had we become known than trouble came knocking. 10. You stole my family's recipes. Some low-class greasy spoon actually dares to leech off the reputation of the Shanghai Du Family Grand Restaurant? Have you no shame? A strange wind began to blow online, with everyone accusing us of recipe theft. I didn't pay it much mind. The social media account hadn't brought me much profit anyway. On the contrary, due to the increased attention, many people specifically came to the restaurant to eat. As long as customers were willing to try my food, I was confident I could turn them into regulars. Seeing that we were unfazed, the people behind the scenes started resorting to dirty tricks. A group came to dine and dash. I immediately called 911. The police officers would teach them a lesson. Someone tried to secretly throw cockroaches into the food. I instantly played back the footage from my 360-degree, no blind spot surveillance cameras, scaring them into a hasty retreat. The local market vendors stopped selling me vegetables. I wasn't flustered at all. I started going to suburban farmers early in the morning to buy produce cheaper and fresher. Within a month, I received an invitation to the Culinary God competition, and this news became a hot topic on social media. 11 Willow's gaze fixed on the invitation cover, on the middle-aged man wearing a white chef's hat. It's senior brother, David Dalton. I understood. This trouble was undoubtedly David Dalton's doing. My father-in-law, Daniel Dawson, had once adopted a boy and poured his heart into teaching him the culinary arts. But the boy stole the Du family cookbook and left for distant lands. Daniel Dawson was heartbroken and vowed never to take another apprentice until he met me, collapsed from hunger at his restaurant's doorstep. Willow scoffed. He must think Dad held back some secret techniques. I guiltily touched my nose. The culinary god space contained recipes from all corners of the land. When recording videos, I only avoided existing unique and secret recipes. Others, I used freely. Willow slammed the invitation onto the coffee table. Sincere, you have to win. I stood at attention. Yes, ma'am. 12. The culinary god competition was set for 2 months later. I planned to give it my all, win the title of culinary god, and welcome the birth of my daughter. The preliminary round was no challenge. I entered the semi-finals as the top contestant in my region. With my flawless knife skills, I attracted the attention of many master chefs. In the semi-finals, I recreated an incredibly intricate classic poultry dish from the Qing dynasty, Phoenix's Court, stunning everyone and smoothly advancing to the finals. As my skills were revealed, the tide of online opinion began to turn. Chef Clark's skill is no less than Chef Dalton's. With my 20 years of experience as a chef, I guarantee Chef Clark has mastered all major culinary styles. If you say he's a thief, I absolutely don't believe it. So young, yet his knife skills are as refined as someone with 30 or 40 years of practice. This is truly a gift from heaven. I didn't wait in Shanghai for the finals because Willow was about to give birth 13. I paced anxiously outside the delivery room, my mind a complete blank. Although this was my second time experiencing this, I was still terrified. If, because of my rebirth, something dangerous happened to mother and child, I would rather not have been reborn at all. Family of Willow Clark. A nurse emerged, holding a swaddled baby. Me. I took the bundle. Inside lay a chubby baby girl, sleeping peacefully. I carefully brought the swaddled baby close to my chest, feeling the warm, soft body. Tears instantly streamed down my face. My daughter, my precious Pearl, my sweet, adorable, sensible, and filial daughter, who had died so tragically my heart ached with a stabbing pain, my very soul seeming to float away with the immense sorrow. Until Willow chuckled. You're a grown man. Why are you crying harder than me? Who exactly just gave birth? I managed to open my swollen eyes and saw Willow, drenched in sweat, being wheeled out. The doctors and nurses were all smiling at me. Forgetting to wipe my tears, I quickly held the baby up for Willow to see. Wifey, look, this is our daughter. Willow looked lovingly at the peacefully sleeping little baby. Hello, baby. It's nice to meet you. For the rest of our lives, please guide me. I scratched my head. Willow was so eloquent. I couldn't keep up. My face flushed red as I managed to squeeze out, I will make you the happiest baby in the world and, wifey, I love you. 14 Willow urged me to return to Shanghai for the finals. Although my heart ached to leave them, I knew that only by winning the competition could I provide a better life for my wife and daughter. Willow and Pearl were admitted to the city's most luxurious postnatal care center. Willow gasped at the cost. $10,000 a month, you could buy a house with that. I kissed her forehead. You and Pearlie are the most important. The culinary god competition prize is 200, 0. Believe in your husband. For that 200, 0, I focused all my energy on preparing for the finals. David Dalton, my senior brother, was certain I would use the Du family cookbook's grand finale dish, soaring twin dragons. He planned to make the same dish to challenge me directly. But I was no longer the person I once was. I was a man with a wife and daughter. The thought of my soft, sweet Pearl filled me with a surge of fatherly love. On the spot, I was inspired to create a new dish. Like a pearl, like a treasure, hoping my daughter would be cherished like a jewel all her life. Emotions can be tasted. My, like a pearl, like a treasure, moved the judges to tears. Weren't they two treasures in their parents' hearts? Didn't they too have their own pearls and treasures? With an absolute, unanimous vote, I won the title of culinary god online. No one dared call me a thief anymore. Netizens firmly remembered. The new culinary god had his like a pearl, like a treasure. 15 I turned down all invitations for variety shows and interviews, focusing solely on accompanying my wife and daughter. While Willow was in her month of postpartum confinement, I spent $200 to have a renovation company completely remodel the old greasy spoon. A culinary god needed a restaurant worthy of the title. My parents, Arthur and Martha, having seen the competition on TV, came to the postnatal care center, eyeing the $200 prize money. Sincere, you're successful now. Why don't you let Mom and Dad keep this $200 for you? My mother Martha asked greedily. My eldest brother, Eldon, added, That's right. Your wife just had a little sprout. Don't waste money on them. My father, Arthur Sr., said, Your eldest nephew is starting elementary school. You should sponsor him a bit. We don't need much. $200 will do. I stated concisely. I've made a will. After I die, all my money goes to my wife and daughter. My mother, Martha, jumped up in anger. Are you crazy? You're not leaving money to your parents but to your wife? So she can use it to support some other man? My gaze turned cold as I spoke the painful truth. If the money goes to my wife, she won't let you starve when you can't afford food. If the money goes to you, will you take care of them? I warned Eldon, You won't get a penny of my money. If this happens again, the three of us brothers will split Mom and Dad's support costs equally. They left in a huff. I felt a pang of sadness. They hadn't once asked how the baby was doing. As I stood at the entrance, composing myself, I saw a familiar figure hurrying out, clutching a swaddled baby, looking flustered. 16, I stopped her. Stop, what's going on with this baby? This woman was the cleaner at the postnatal care center. A cleaner carrying a baby out was highly suspicious. Could she have stolen my daughter? I anxiously tried to unveil the swaddling clothes, but the cleaner shrieked. Harassment. My eyes were sharp as an eagle's as I gripped the cleaner's arm tightly. Security. Someone's stealing a baby. Hearing, stealing a baby. All the family members visiting new mothers in the center quickly gathered around. The cleaner, seeing the growing crowd, became as agitated as an ant on a hot pan. A scuffle ensued. During the struggle, the swaddling clothes were slightly pulled open, revealing the baby's face. That looks like my son, a man in the crowd exclaimed. 17. The truth quickly came to light. It turned out the cleaner's grandson had just been born. The cleaner, overcome by a wicked thought, had swapped her own grandson with a baby boy at the center. Miss Clark, sincere, you're a benefactor to our Gordon family, thank you so much. The father of the swapped baby, Leonard Gordon, gripped my hand tightly, his eyes red. I was so stunned I could only reply reflexively. You're welcome. My name is Leonard Gordon. Here's my contact information. I'll visit you personally another day to express my gratitude. After saying this, Leonard Gordon, along with a group of people, bustled out of the postnatal care center with the new mother and baby. I stared at my hands, stunned. Had the cad's fate been altered just like that? It was truly a melodramatic turn of events. In my previous life, when my daughter, Pearl, was working part-time to fund her studies, she had a boyfriend whom she supported financially. Only after 3 years did Pearl discover that her boyfriend was actually the son of a high-ranking official, merely playing at being an ordinary person. Pearl bore a resemblance to his untouchable ideal and had been treated as a substitute. When the untouchable ideal returned, Pearl was cast aside like something insignificant. Even worse, Pearl accidentally found out that this son of an official was actually a fake young master, deliberately swapped at birth. This usurper, the cad, to tie up loose ends, hired someone to murder both Pearl and the real young master. The real young master was Leonard Gordon's son, Hank, without the baby swap. The cad would return to his original, less privileged family. Furthermore, with his biological grandmother having a criminal record, he wouldn't be able to apply for government jobs in the future. Fate had been completely changed. 18, I murmured. Good deeds are indeed rewarded. After the baby stealing incident, Willow refused to stay at the postnatal care center any longer. I brought Willow and Pearl home. I meticulously prepared nutritious meals for the new mother, feeding Willow until she had a fair and rosy complexion. Pearl Clark? Your name is Pearl Clark? I sat by the crib, chuckling as I watched my daughter blow bubbles and occasionally pass a little gas. Wifey, come quick, Pearlie scared herself crying after she tooted. Wifey? Pearlie smiled. Oh my, what a clever little girl smiling at such a young age. Wifey? Pearlie can roll over. So capable. Wifey? Pearlie can say daddy. My precious little darling. Life with Pearl was blissful and flew by. I often woke up startled from dreams, afraid that these wonderful days were just an illusion. After waking, I would kiss Willow, then go to the crib to look at Pearl. She was a good baby. When hungry, thirsty, or needing a diaper change, she would coo a few times. The rest of the time, she would flash a toothless, sweet smile, her dimples filled with intoxicatingly sweet wine. 19. Time flew by like a swift horse. In a blink, Pearl turned 3. In these 3 years, my private restaurant, Du's Kitchen, became famous, with reservations incredibly hard to get. It even earned a Michelin 3-star rating. Diners who came for my reputation all left messages saying their visit was well worth it. Leonard Gordon advised me to open a chain of restaurants, but I refused. Honing my skills and bringing culinary happiness to my patrons, that was my original intention. Having been reborn, I believed in karma. I worried that any misdeeds on my part would bring retribution upon Willow and Pearl. Therefore, I always tried to be kind and made annual donations of money and supplies to children in impoverished mountainous regions. Willow was traumatized by the baby stealing incident. For these 3 years, she stayed home to care for Pearl, never letting her out of her sight. Leonard Gordon's official career was even more successful than I had known in my previous life. Thanks to him, Pearl and his son, Hank Gordon, both enrolled in a prestigious city kindergarten. 20, Daddy, Mommy, I don't want to leave you. I'll miss you, Pearl Clark said, clutching my hand, tears and snot streaming down her face. I choked up, unable to speak. Willow hugged Pearl. Sweetheart, Daddy and Mommy will pick you up after school. You and Hanky be good and listen to the teacher. Hank Gordon took Pearl's hand and walked into the classroom without looking back. Leonard Gordon said, a little enviously, That little rascal daughters are still the best. Song, are you crying? I finally broke down, hugging Willow and sobbing, Wifey, maybe we shouldn't send Pearlie to kindergarten? She's crying so pitifully, what if other kids bully her? Willow. Leonard Gordon shook his head, tutting. I knew you doted on your daughter, but I didn't realize it was this much. I sat in the car, parked outside the kindergarten, checking my phone every few seconds, terrified that Pearl would miss her parents. Willow, after 3 years of hard work, went shopping and to the movies with friends as soon as Pearl started school. Chef Clark, why aren't you open today? A call came from one of the regulars. I sniffled. Not in the mood. The regular's voice was cautious. How about I take you out to relax, old buddy? The Maldives? An Antarctic expedition? Wherever you want to go, my treat. I felt lifeless. Not going. The regular's heart skipped a beat. He probed. Chef Clark, why are you in a bad mood? Tears welled up in my eyes again. My daughter started kindergarten today. 21. All the regulars knew I was a complete daughter doter. They started betting on how long it would take for me to reopen the restaurant. A month later, the regulars couldn't sit still. Chef Clark, Why don't you open your own kindergarten? I can help you with the licenses and staffing. You just bought that 300 square meter commercial space recently. You could sit in your shop and see the kindergarten. I was speechless. My wife requisitioned the commercial space. She's opening a photography studio. Choosing between my wife and daughter was a tough call. One of the regulars was at home, figuratively knocking on the head of the city kindergarten director. Holistic development. Your kindergartners should have some fun. Educational activities. It was around a major autumn festival, and I soon received a notice from the kindergarten, hoping I would teach the children to make special festival pastries. I gleefully packed the finest ingredients and happily served the children. Rabbit-shaped, snow-skin pastries, palace flower pastries, little tiger pastries. Whatever the children could imagine, I could make for them. Daddy, that's my daddy, he's the world's #1 chef. Pearl Clark was ecstatic, no longer crying her way to kindergarten. 22. With delicious food paving the way, and Hank Gordon's protection, Pearl Clark spent 3 carefree years in kindergarten. In a flash, they were about to start elementary school together. Daddy, I'm so hungry. As soon as school let out, Pearl hugged my leg, looking pitiful. Ever since Pearl turned 4, I had been particularly mindful of maintaining propriety between boys and girls. My eyes filled with ton-ite love and pity. What do you want to eat? Daddy will make it for you. The surrounding diners teased. Only you, Pearlie, have the privilege of ordering directly from Chef Clark. Pearl's eyes sparkled. Daddy, I love anything you cook. My heart instantly melted. Such an adorable girl just wanted some good food, not the moon from the sky. Of course, I had to satisfy her. Willow walked into the restaurant just then. Sweetheart, what did they serve at your school? Why aren't you full? Pearl pouted, aggrieved. It was pre-packaged meals. How can they give children that stuff? It's all frozen meat and additives. It's worse than pig slop. They're feeding this to the future of our nation. The diners in my restaurant were all food connoisseurs. Hearing that the school used pre-packaged meals, they were unusually furious. 23. Among the diners were people in media and social media influencers. They reported the incident, drawing widespread public attention. Leonard Gordon also put pressure on the Education Bureau to investigate whether the school's bidding process for caterers was compliant. The catering company that supplied the prepackaged meals was brazenly confident, boasting in a live stream, "Outsiders, don't talk nonsense. Our prepackaged meals are absolutely safe and hygienic, much tastier and more delicious than what ordinary people make. If the kids don't like it, it's because they're picky eaters." Pearl Clark, watching the live stream, puffed up like a pufferfish with anger and requested to join the stream. My daddy's cooking is leagues better than yours. The catering rep chuckled. Little girl, don't make such big claims. Otherwise, shall we have a competition? Since they were so arrogant, I naturally had to accept the challenge. 2 days later, in the elementary school cafeteria, 100 elementary school students served as judges, and the entire event was live-streamed. The contrast was stark. The bento boxes I made were devoured by the children, down to the last drop of sauce. The pre-packaged meal bento boxes were barely touched. Live-stream comments. The little girl was being modest. This isn't just leagues better, it's light years better. Lol. Do you guys know who the little girl's father is? He's been the culinary god for 3 consecutive competitions. He was eventually made a judge so he wouldn't compete anymore. 24. The catering company was voted out by the parents, but the children's lunch remained a problem. The school approached me, hoping I would bid for the contract. However, cooking for a private dining restaurant and cooking cafeteria style are 2 completely different paths. Even with a central kitchen and standardized procedures, the taste couldn't compare. I asked Pearl, "How about Daddy brings you lunch every day?" Pearl shook her head, sighing like a little adult. My classmates are pitiful. Some don't have parents to bring them lunch, so they can only eat bread. Daddy, your food smells so good. It's so sad for them to smell it but not be able to eat it. In modern society, life is fast-paced. Most families are dual-income households. Who has time to deliver lunch to their children every day? But children are in their growing years. How can they subsist on bread every day? Willow silently tallied up their cash on hand. The money we've earned over the years has all been used to buy property and land. Currently, we can come up with 500. We can use the land from my photography base for the facility. Willow was a photography enthusiast. If she was willing to offer her photography base for the children, what did I have to fear? 25 Willow and I poured most of our energy into building a central kitchen. Leonard Gordon helped us with the paperwork, and the regulars enthusiastically helped me procure the machinery. Our long-term suppliers, seeing that I was doing this for the children's welfare, offered us ingredients at cost price. Soon, we had everything sorted out and participated in the bidding. The cafeteria contractor for Yuhong Elementary School is Du's Cuisine Food Co. Limited. Knowing my own daughter would be eating these bento boxes, I racked my brains to optimize the taste of the meals. To ensure the bento boxes were still hot when they reached the students, I hired cold chain management personnel at high salaries. Fortunately, our efforts paid off. Our school's food is so delicious, Mommy. Can I eat dinner at school too? Wow, I've grown taller. I'm officially jealous of my younger brother. Their school's bento boxes are amazing. Excuse me, does the elementary school accept students in their 20s? They don't accept students like that, but you can try to become a teacher there. 26. The world laughed at me for being a daughter-doter, yet they were also glad I was one. Pearl Clark's grades were above average. When she graduated from elementary school, a host of prestigious middle schools sent her special admission offers, not for any other reason than her having a daughter-doter dad. The food company Willow and I opened was practically a labor of love. It didn't make any profit, barely breaking even. So, it only operated at the schools Pearl attended. Yuhong Elementary, thanks to its delicious bento boxes, attracted a large number of outstanding students and teachers, ascending to the position of the city's top elementary school. Which school wouldn't be envious? Who wouldn't be jealous? Hank Gordon managed to get into 28 middle school, along with Pearl. I narrowed my eyes. Alarm bells ringing in my head. This kid was trouble 27. To prevent my precious cabbage from being eaten by a pig, I decided to walk other people's paths, leaving them no path to walk. Chauffeur service, birthday flowers and gifts, taking Willow and Pearl on trips. I used every romantic gesture I could think of. I ensured Pearl experienced all the worldly things I could introduce her to. I also showed immense love and affection to Willow, teaching my daughter what true marriage and love looked like. The hormonal surges of adolescence were definitely not love. Your daughter will get married one day, Willow counseled me. A bolt from the blue, the thought of my daughter being crazy about some brat, madly in love, and doing foolish things for him made me want to tear the brat limb from limb. What if the husband your daughter finds treats her even better than you do? Willow mused optimistically. I fell silent. Willow and I would eventually grow old. If there was a devoted person to share her life with, I could rest in peace in my grave. 28. After reaching middle age, time seemed to hit an accelerator, flying by. Pearl Clark. I want to be an astronaut. Hank Gordon. I'm going to apply for the Navy. They were 18, the age to strive for their dreams. I unconditionally supported my daughter. I just wanted to smack Hank Gordon on the head whenever I saw his clingy gaze. Sigh. A miscalculation. I really didn't have the means to show my daughter the heroic image of a soldier. On the day of the college entrance exams, a reporter stopped Willow and me. Do you have anything to say about your children taking the college entrance exams? Willow smiled gently. If they pass with flying colors, they will serve the nation and repay our country. If they fail to make the cut, they will stay by our side and be filial children to us. I wanted my daughter to stay by my side, but I hoped even more that she could achieve her dreams and soar. Ending. My daughter truly made us proud. She became the nation's first female astronaut while Willow and I worried about her. We also wondered what her reaction would be when she opened her space meal pack. Becoming an astronaut had been Pearl's dream since childhood. Ever since she started middle school, Willow and I had been diligently researching how to make meal packs more delicious, last longer, and better suit the needs of space travel. Finally, in the year she was successfully selected as an astronaut, our meal packs were also chosen. Willow had a few more fine lines around her eyes, but her smile still held the gentle warmth of her youth. You just spoil her. One day, if she goes to another planet, I'd like to see what you'll do. I chuckled. Then I'll open a restaurant on another planet. I haven't tried making alien cuisine in this lifetime yet. Epilogue. Pearl Clark, Astronaut Dream. My name is Pearl Clark. The pearl in like a pearl, like a treasure. My daddy and mommy love me very much, and I love them too. When I was little, I was afraid of my parents growing old and leaving me. Daddy would lift me above his head and laugh. When Daddy and Mommy get old, we'll become stars in the sky. You'll be able to see us just by looking up. I looked at the countless stars in the sky. There were so many. Which ones were Daddy and Mommy? Later, I learned that astronauts could fly into space. So, my dream was to become an astronaut when I grew up. When Daddy and Mommy grew old and became stars, I would take a rocket into space and search for them, one by one. When I truly became an astronaut and boarded the space capsule, I was astonished to find that Daddy and Mommy had really done it. The meal packs they made became the most important comfort for astronauts in the vast emptiness of space. Willow Dawson. I am a very fortunate person. I lost my mother at a young age, but my father gave me all his love, leaving me with no regrets. I lost my father in my youth, but my husband gave me beautiful love and companionship, giving me a home once more. Sincere Clark is a very kind and tolerant man. He is incredibly patient with me and with our child. My life has been comfortable and smooth. Even in death, I will go before Sincere. I held Sincere's hand, reluctant to let go. Sincere, thank you. This life, with you and Pearl, I have no regrets. I'll go on ahead. In the next life, it'll be my turn to cherish you.